Hi everyone. Today we're going to look at the program control using a Click PLC, and in particularly what we're looking at is using interrupts as well as subroutines. Now interrupts, in order to call an interrupt, we right click on the interrupt program under the navigation menu here, and you will see add new interrupt program. The other method is if you go to the actual program, we can hit add new interrupt program or control I as a shortcut. Right now I already have an interrupt programmed up here. I called it flasher 3 seconds, and what happens is I have a output, the first output Y1, and then when it's not on, then it turns the output on, and when the output is on, then it will turn it off. And we can do this without using any leading edge contacts or anything like that, or even a timer, because the program will execute only once per transition when it's true. Now it will execute this interrupt, and it will hit the return and then return back to the program or the main program which it was scanning at the time. So if we look at the, there's my flasher interrupt. If I look at the interrupt setup, it will actually tell me how this is being used. So it's a software interrupt. We're using interrupt number 1 of the 4 that we have, and we can actually set it for 3 seconds. You also get the choice of milliseconds or seconds. This is a timed interrupt. It's creating a flasher for 3 seconds. And you'll notice that I don't have any of the programs themselves in the main menu. It's just by itself. If a timed happen or an interrupt, and here I can program my internal interrupts off of the built-in I/O and call up subroutines as they happen. So this happens outside the main program itself. Okay. Now, the other issue, or the other way of which controlling, is through subroutines. And in subroutines, if I look at my subroutine program under my navigation menu, I have a couple of subroutines programmed, motor 1 and motor 2. And if I look at motor 1, you can see the background's a little different than what it was for the interrupts. Instead of being red, now it's green. And I have some logic here that will be executed when motor 1 subroutine is called by the main program, and it will execute until it hits the return and then go back to the main program. So my main program actually has 2 lines, and they're unconditional rungs, meaning that it'll execute this call all the time. So it will scan the program, it'll hit this call motor 1 subroutine, it'll go do the subroutine until it hits the return, then it will go back and it will continue. Then when it sees motor number 2 subroutine, it will call it. It will scan that code till it hits the return, then come back to the line right after. So currently right now I am online with my PLC, and what we'll do is we'll just connect to it, and we'll change the mode, and we'll change it to run mode. Okay. Now we're in run mode. We'll look at the status monitor, and just because I was demonstrating, it says that it's modified. Do you want to download the project? Sure, we'll download it. Take a couple of seconds here, and it calls up here, and we'll do this online. Hit OK. Yep, we'll proceed. And now we can see, you see these are unconditional runs. We're actually calling up the motor 1 and motor 2. You also notice that our interrupt, our flasher, we can monitor it. We now have the output on, then off. So from our logic point of view, our flow, we have our main program, which then calls up motor 1, motor 2, and then every 3 seconds it gets interrupted, and it will do this interrupt routine. And just to show you that motor 1 is actually working if we call up our data view, and we have our X1, X2, X3, meaning our on, off, and stop. And the first thing we need to do is we'll actually enable our override bit, and we'll turn on our motor 1 off, because we need this enabled in order to turn it on. So we'll write that value, and you can see that motor 1 is now, the stop is now not activated. So if it's wired up normally closed, it'll now be not connected, or no one's touched the button. So now if we hit the start, and we'll hit right value, hit yes, and you can see that will actually start it. Now when we hit jog, put that off now, and you see the motor continues to run because we have it sealed in. Now if we hit the jog button, and we'll do it as an override, you'll see that my jog button is now hit and my motor 1 stays on. If I turn off my jog, the motor 1 now stops. So our logic does work. Okay. And you can see, we'll close this, you can see that looking at the navigation panel is very helpful in order to determine exactly what's being called and when it's being called. So that's it for today. If you can do us a favor and give us a thumbs up on the video, it'll help other people find this information, as well as subscribe to our channel. It'll make sure that you get the latest updates. Also, if you move over to our website, you'll find all this code. You can download it. Also, further explanations on the actual logic and the sequencing going on. And if you subscribe to our website, you can get a download to a paper on understanding PLC numbering systems. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching.